have some big thoughts on AI and the legal practice. Technology in general has been on a big uptick.
There's just delays everywhere.
It was even beat into our heads in law school that all you need is your yellow legal pad and a can-do attitude.
My name is Christian Cooper, and I serve as corporate counsel.
Allison Slotzve, and I manage Gemini's litigation support team.
Whereas attorneys may use AI to help them out, I think maybe the layperson might see AI being used at a firm and go, what am I paying you for?
Right.
Well, there was a good phrase I learned from my mentor when I first started, and it's, you might do something for 15 minutes and charge $1,000. What you're paying for that $1,000 isn't the work I did so much as I have the ability to do it in 15 minutes.
It's the expertise.
Yes.
You're paying for you having to go to school for this, you
Correct.
having to pass the bar through this, like the overhead of being an attorney, running a firm or what have you. But yeah, that's what you're paying for.
Sure. And the idea of, is there a human in the loop about the attorney you've hired who is leveraging AI for their business? Absolutely.
Definitely.
I would love for the law to always be black and white, and it's not, unfortunately. There's a lot of gray area, and you need a human to be able to analyze all of that. They provide you the options. When I would have a client come to me who would say, I have a neighbor or a company that I don't like, and I'm beefing with them. What can I do? It's the human that goes, well, you can do nothing. We can take them to court. We can send a demand letter. We can have an open discussion for a settlement, a negotiation. Where do you want to take this? That's the human element that you're paying for, that you have the knowledge to go, here's everything that's on the table. And if it takes me 15 minutes to do it, well, that's part of the charm here, that I have spent so much time, years and years and years of learning how to do that in 15 minutes.
Well, that, and you know more about the potential outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Not that AI couldn't learn that, but you've got that real world experience, whereas AI doesn't. I feel like it's just not quite the same.
Yeah.
Reading about things on the internet and using statistics on the internet is not ever going to be the same as having that real world experience.
Oh, yeah. If you've never touched grass, you can actually, let me go back to, and I hope this isn't like a copyright hit here, but you go to Good Will Hunting and you listen to the Robin Williams speech to Matt Damon while they're at the lake. And he has a really good comment of, I bet you if I asked you on sports betting, you can give me the skinny on everything, meaning you can tell me a really big chunk of a really big item and give me basically every major detail that I need to know for that topic. But you cannot tell me what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You can read about what grass looks like, smells like, tastes like, feels like, but if you have never touched grass, you don't know.
Exactly.
I've been to dozens of conferences where AI is a hot button issue, and they use the phrase all the time, trust but verify. How would one, we use AI in our day-to-day, how does one trust but verify? In your version, what does that look like?
For me, if I have an issue, a legal issue, I ask the question, I basically pose it like I would any legal issue into AI, and I see what it comes up with. And I take those case law or statutes or regulations or what have you, and I go and look them up on the actual sites that publish those. Mm-hmm. So I don't trust, and I read it for myself in its entirety so that I'm not trusting AI to tell me the truth. Or I at least want to know it's really there. And I want to have just my eyes, a second set of eyes on it, just to make sure, is it saying what AI is saying it's saying, to make my argument?
I think AI, at a minimum, gives you a path to explore.
It does. It gives you the direction. It saves you time. It's not like we have to go to the law library and take out the book and look up the different topics.
But I miss that. And I miss the smell. Those books,
mustiness,
they smell so good.
Yeah.
Yes. I have like a Black's Law dictionary from, I think, 1913 in my office, and it is decrepit and falling apart. But every now and then
that hit.
Yeah. Yeah, it smells phenomenal. The trust but verify process happens not just in AI. I do it actually a lot with my human-to-human interactions. So if I have an internal business stakeholder that's got an issue with how a contract is being handled on the vendor side, and they'll come to me and say, hey, this vendor is in breach and they're doing this thing and I don't like it, I will say, okay, great. I trust you that you believe this is happening. My verification process is where? You tell me where you think the breach is happening in the contract. And now I have a pathway to, instead of going, you and I both know this is a 60-page document, and I'm happy to review it because that's my job. Where do you think this breach is occurring? And it will drive me to have such a more succinct and pinpoint analysis instead of going, okay, there's 1,200 clauses in the 60-page document. Clause number 1 is not in breach. Clause number 2 is not in breach. I don't have to write a memo that analyzes every single clause.
Right. It's kind of like if my air conditioning goes out and I'm telling them it's making a funny noise at the condenser unit outside. I'm not expecting the repair guy to go look in my attic.
Yeah.
Like you're just giving them that general idea of where to start looking. I remember being in high school before you could cite things from the internet. Nobody knew how to cite things from the internet and how there was no discernment over what was a legitimate site with legitimate information versus not. So they just had a blanket, no, just can't use it. But now we can. And there were the same arguments of that it's taking away from the ability of learning how to go research something, the same way that like using our Google Maps takes away from picking up the old school Thomas guide and finding an address in there. But that's just improvement. That's just the cycle of life. That's human.
That's fair.
Evolving.
Two points to that, because I do think that's fair. Where I do think it is extremely fair is when you look at society from the inception of newspapers, and if you read headlines, then it is society's going to crumble. No one talks to each other anymore, and there's just photos of people on subways all reading newspapers. And society didn't crumble. Internet is another. .com boom is another. If I may, internet conceptually versus .com boom, separate things. Cell phones.
Yes, big time.
Smartphones.
Big time.
All the same pattern, by the way. I hope I'm not diving into those so that you know that they all are the same exact thing. Versus, and in addition to, AI. I agree that it's not so detrimental where it's terminal for some individuals, and I would even closely relate it to, I think that there is a logical fallacy in an argument between switching from a fossil fuel to a renewable energy, or fossil fuel versus anything else, because people go, oh, well, it's going to kill jobs. Yes, but it's going to create so many other things in other areas. And if that is your point, I understand that. However, how things are being done currently in certain industries does eliminate those things right now. We do not know what jobs it does create in the future. Right now, I can think of that's one that's really closely tied to AI is there will be an integrator that is going to be mandatory at most companies. I'm a person that I don't know C++, I don't know JavaScript, I don't know Python, but I know how to communicate between two AI models. That will be a very big job at some point. And I know because Amazon, Google, Facebook, they are all hiring the AI integrators right now for hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Right. It is. I get it. It is scary. And I think I'd be a little more concerned if I was younger and just entering the job market. Whereas, I'm old enough to start looking at retirement and start to think about that, where it's I'm not as concerned. Also, just having seen things like this and seen improvements and heard this is going to kill this industry. And yeah, it does. To your point about, fossil fuels, it could for that industry, but it does create other industries and other jobs.
I think I'm going on to that point.
Yeah.
If I may, one being an industry, that industry who utilizes AI to its fullest, bootstraps all the employees who are currently there and no longer hires. And let's say there is a blip on a trend of hiring where it seems like no jobs exist right now. That is only because AI is being leveraged at its current
Yes.
capacity to its maximum capacity. I agree with you, though. One cannot predict what that looks like in the future, as wherein they zoomed in month to month for one calendar year looks like, oh my gosh, there's no one being hired and we're all going to blame AI. I agree with you. It will create jobs in the future of how do we work around that.
Right.
Newspapers were going to kill communication,
Yes.
and then everyone worked at a newspaper, and journalism boomed. Walter Cronkite happened. That all because a new technology emerged, and it was really
Right.
scary. Actually, if I may, I think that's actually a really good point with Walter Cronkite. I think I was able to tie that together pretty well. So yeah, I think it looks scary. I think the intent, and I'm putting words in the mouths of all AI creators, is to bootstrap your current limitations as a business who may be struggling and cannot hire someone to be able to continue to succeed and pay your people. And I do agree with you, in the future, it will create new jobs. Just looks scary right now.
It does. But it was the same thing in the legal field with computers. File clerks aren't a thing anymore, but or that was the fear, is like, so people like that are not going to have jobs. Your office staff is going to be replaced by a computer. And really they're not.
No, well,
Because you need somebody to know how to store things on the computer.
which is my point of the AI integrator
Right.
in the future. I will even add to your point of it not taking away from, it created an abundant amount of manufacturing jobs because they needed to produce the computers.
True. Very true.
Yes, not just US, but global as well. Now, if you wanted to dive into like maybe one country losing out on industrial revolution manufacturing percentages, that's a whole nother discussion. But
Right. I know that there's a lot of talk about how we're cooling the servers needed to run all the AI.
that's true.
So it's, there's going to be definite jobs in that. Figure
Oh,
out how to
yeah.
desalinize the ocean water to cool it. Wind cooling.
Who said this? I'm going to misquote who specifically it is. Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban. Someone said we would, so many people are dehydrated and dying of thirst across the world. How do you fight something like that? With knowing that 75% of the world is covered by water. Well, no one has tackled that. Neil deGrasse maybe said this. No one has tackled this because no one's paying for it.
Right.
But the second you learn how to make money from it,
Exactly.
it will happen. Oil pays more than an energy company. So
It does.
you're just stuck over there. So
all
until
about
someone
the money.
figures out how to turn that into a capitalist endeavor, back to your comment of, we're watering, that will create jobs because we have to cool down these things. Yes, and once someone figures out how to capitalize on that, that will be a position.